This is your daily reminder for those of you interested in State of Power War Prep. It starts immediately a week after. So, starting from King of Icefield, ending in Sunday, starting Monday, you get, of course, Alliance Mobilization. And then at the end of Alliance Mobilization, you have State of Power. Now, you might be wondering, what do you need to do for State of Power? Same thing you had to do for King of Icefield, more or less. First one's construction, so you need to be using fire crystals, speeds, what have you. Second step is basic skills up, which is basically shards, what have you. Third step, okay, more or less, you really want to think in terms of training troops. Fourth step is pretty much more or less power. And again, this is just going off of memory, but I mean, basically, State of Power prep is just like any other event. You got to have speed ups. You need to have fire crystals. You don't really do chief gear until the very end. And you can do pets, I believe, as well. I believe in like the third or fourth day. I'm thinking it's the third, and the fourth day's training, and the fifth day's power. But anyway, the main point that I'm trying to get across to you is, at least for State of Power prep, you need to be thinking about, alright, long before King of Icefield comes around, you really need to be saving your speed ups. You need to be saving all your resources, all your gems, anything or everything related to your heroes, anything or everything related to... because it all adds up. I mean, more or less, the best, most successful players in SPS are the people that have had time to basically store all of this stuff, and they, more or less, the way that they game it. And take it away from me, right? I maxed out to a Fire Crystal 3 and a Hurry in my state. Looking back on this, I don't think it's wise, and here's why. I've not once, not twice, but probably lost out on like 3 or 4 full events in the rotation. Like, I have lost 2 full rotations of State of Power and King of Icefield already, and I'm unable to actually construct anything because, well, I'm at Fire Crystal 3 and can't go any higher. So if you want my 2 cents, it may not be in your best interest to actually go way ahead early on. Yes, you get the advantages of Fire Crystal 3, but you lose the advantage of getting all the rewards that come with getting Fire Crystals used and all the points that come along with it. So, for that reason, I really strongly recommend you don't do what I did, because I can very quickly see that that didn't really work out in my favor at all. It really kind of blew up in my face, more or less. Now, you might be thinking, okay, alright, what are you doing for State of Power prep, and what do you usually do to kind of get ahead? What I tend to find that really helps out in my book is I actually like to hit polar tears. Now, the reason why is because you get a lot of healing speeds, but you also get a lot of training speed ups. And I go for the highest tier possible, because I can do it. But the idea in principle is that by doing this every day, you're using up all the stamina that you have. And you can do this during Alliance Mobilization, so what I like to do is I just go crazy doing a lot of these. I mean, I do a ton. The other thing I do is I also make sure I pop my auto join, and I'm doing the auto join as much as I can. And it just conveniently happens to be in the same rotation that Gina's Revenge is going on in. Now, I'll have Gina's Revenge come up here in a day, and then I just go even more ballistic. Because what you can do is turn around, and you can actually use the horns to get hunter pouches. Now, the thing about these hunter pouches is you can actually get gems, you can get stamina, and 5-minute speed ups. Again, all this stuff adds up, and if you want to micro manage the living bejeebus out of something like State of Power, you really need to invest a stupid amount of time into storing a lot of resources. And, of course, that means you need to be gathering. You need to be, so when I'm not, basically, if I run out of stamina, what I am doing instead is I'm gathering. And you just kind of float back and forth between the two. That's really about all you need to do. And I will say that, as far as, like, the individual shards, I mean, that's really straightforward. You just hang on to all the shards that you've got. And then once you get close enough to where you can, say, max level a particular hero up at level, or even max at a couple of star levels, then you can just dump all those shards in there and then do it then, And so that's, I mean, it's really not terribly complicated. Obviously, if you hold on to widgets, so should you have notice that, like, even now we've got, like, Tundra Adventure going on, right? Yeah, it never hurts to store anything you get here. I mean, it's idea and principle is really straightforward. You just basically need to store every little thing that you get because you'll be able to use it in state versus state prep. And that'll obviously help your entire state out in the end anyway. Now, of course, there are some skins in here, and you can obviously hold on to your adventure coins if you're wanting to get something like the Lost City, for example. The one that is super, super badass, though, is the Rainbow Unicorn. You get that for 10,000. So in case you didn't know, that you actually can get the Rainbow Unicorn skin out of the Adventure Caravan, which I thought was really cool, and I just thought I'd point this out to you guys, because I didn't even know it was in here. It's one of those things that I was like, wait a minute, wait a second, you mean to tell me that the unicorn is in here? And for those of you that are wondering, what do you mean, the unicorn? You mean to tell me that Whiteout Survival has a unicorn skin? Yes, it does. It actually does, believe it or not. It's actually comical, in a way. I'm sure you'll join me in this bandwagon at first, and be like, yes, we don't need this skin. What do we need this skin for? Why? For what reason? And it's like, look, just look at it. Look at it. It's a freaking horse with rainbows. Okay, I don't care who you are. You need it. You need it. You know you need it. You need the Rainbow Unicorn. So, for all of you out there that are doing state versus state prep, you happen to have Tundra Adventure, then go ballistic and get your Rainbow Unicorn while you can. But all the same, I hope this kind of incentivizes you to, maybe if you want, spend some time, do some of the events. And now, obviously, how do you make the most out of Tundra Adventure is really straightforward. Just how I was explaining to you earlier, you can actually do daily missions. So in here you can hit beasts, you can do recruits, do intel missions, and you can all this stuff for AXAP. It's like it's really not too bad. But as I mentioned earlier, you don't want to make a habit of burning all your resources. You don't want to burn all your speed ups either. So it's going to be a kind of a juggle, and this is why spenders often find this to be kind of a breeze. So it's like the spender's paradise here. It's like, I'm just going to go ahead and spend this, and it's no big deal. But this is what makes the free-to-play have it a little worse off than, say, like the pay-to-win. It's because they can get the luxury of just going, whatever. And that's just kind of the way it is, right? But again, the idea and principle here is, if you, like, for example, if you get... And I honestly think this is probably the best value pack in the entire game, right? You really ought to consider, if you're not terribly heavy spending, just get the Ultra Value Monthly card, because one thing that you get with this is auto hunting, and you also get stamina. And like I was saying earlier, a large chunk of what I've been doing to get ahead is really in part because I'm going out and I'm doing this. Like, it would not be as easy to do without it. Now, of course, I set it to level 29s, but it's not really that important. I mean, really, about the only difference between a 29 and 30 right now is the fact that, okay, it's 169k for per stamina cost versus 187k. I'm just losing out a little bit on the resource count there. I mean, in the long term, yeah, I'll probably want to stop it. So whenever I make that mistake, I always just like to stop all and then pop 30 and just set it to the highest level possible. And then I'll just, because, it's not that big of a deal. We'll just kind of look the other way. I did it wrong the first time. No biggie. But more or less, that's, that's really all you got to do. But of course, I don't know, with the Odyssey Adventure part of this, you can also do these to just get some stuff. The main thing that you want here, though, are the dice. Okay, so you want to do these missions as much as you can, get the most amount of dice you can, and you'll thank me later. But hopefully with the State of Power Prep advice here and the Tundra Adventure bit, you'll be able to get all the nice, fun trinkets. Of course, we also have Fishing Adventure going on, so the fishing tournament, Fishing Adventure. You've also got this to dabble with too, and so I can kind of go into detail with this some as well. But I think that's probably enough for today's video. But more or less, that's basically what you're working with. That's all you really need to know. But of course, I'll see you guys to the next video.